Hello, hello everybody. Today we're gonna get live with Felicia Schutte. So, how you doing?
So far, so good. We're also hanging in there on this side of the world, so I haven't been shooting much, in fact. And our numbers went down. We were like in a safe bubble, but
Yes.
finally, COVID got us too. So we had like last year was my best year ever, so I think I'm an exception. But now, we also need to be serious.
Yes, absolutely. It's like this, but we're like able to navigate through these very dark clouds. We're gonna, yes, doing it. So,
Keeping the spirit up.
yes, and this is what we're gonna talk today, somehow. So, Felicia, I already introduced you as one of the most amazing maternity photographers that I know, at least. You're like in my top five list with Lola Melani and maybe Donatella here in Italy. So I
Okay, I don't know her.
absolutely love your works. So just introduce yourself. In every interview I'm doing, I ask my guests to introduce herself or himself because I think you can talked about you better than I will do. So, how you started? Where are you? You already said you're in Bonaire. Your studio, whatever you want.
Whatever I want. Where do you want me to
Yes.
start? No, yeah, my name is Felicia Schutte. I'm an architect and I'm a portrait photographer. And yeah, well, that's my life story in short. I am in Bonaire. My studio is based in Bonaire. I do my architecture work still in Bonaire also. And I was born in Romania, which is maybe funny because there we have our Latin connection, like the two of us.
Yes.
I was born in Bucharest. My father's German, so I grew up in Germany. I'm technically German with a lot of Romanian blood. And
Wow.
yeah, and I studied architecture and urban planning in Germany, in Dortmund. It's a very urban city, down to earth, all very technical and well based. And then I worked myself literally to a burnout. I was project leading, what was it, 20 or 28,000 square meter project. And in between, I had one time, finally, after 10 years studying and working hard, I had a vacation. I came to Bonaire and I was like, whoa, this place is literally magic. I stepped out of the plane and the wind embraced me and I was like, I felt coming home. So that was a very weird, magical moment. And I think that's important for me as a person because then, at some point I decided to come here for a sabbatical, and that sabbatical became now. Can you calculate real quick? 2003, I came here.
15 years.
15 years,
Almost 20 years.
almost.
It's a long
It's
sabbatical.
it's
Yes.
a long sabbatical. It never ended. And what I brought here to the island is my education as an architect. That also, I point that out because I think that has to do, or is also a well basis for my photography, the way I see things, and maybe approach things. And sometimes it's too much. Everything is a project for me, Sometimes I'm like, Felicia, can you not just do a shoot? No, it's a project. Yeah. So, but anyhow,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
Yes.
yeah, in
What
2000.
brought you to photography?
Well, actually, I was. Everybody says like when I was a little girl, but in fact, I had those cameras, those rich ratch cameras with you had to put the flash on top and it burned eight flashes,
Yes.
and then it was
Yes.
12 pictures. Those I had as a child. And then I think there was a gap in between. And then when I studied, no, that's not true. Actually, I had my first nude shot with my best girlfriend there when we were both 16. I had no idea what I was doing. I had put a bed sheet in front of a cupboard. I still use bed sheets, and I had her pose like Michelangelo kind of stuff, and it was
Wow.
hilarious. I cannot, but
Amazing.
if she watches, she knows what I mean. And so I was attracted to the female form. Oh yes, and when I was in my best years, I had a I had a photographer friend, and he asked me to be his moose. And so he shot. Oh my God, I should have prepared the books. He shot really hot stuff of me, but artistic, like storytelling. I had a really good. And so I have to show you later on in private, the
Yes,
pictures we
in
did. And
private,
I'm
yes,
actually in a book, so it's not that private. So I was more in front of the camera at some point, and then and then I studied. So with architecture, you need to learn photography old school in the dark room. If I miss words, don't worry, because the English is not my first language, but I may throw in some
me
Dutch.
neither.
So if you don't understand me, just ask, because I mix like 3, 4 languages on a daily basis. So photographing the architectural models, and then in the dark room, developing the film, developing the images, yeah, and then we had to learn a little basics of light. So that was my first more professional approach with photography back then. And then I was just working really hard, and there was no more photography. And when I came to Bonaire, actually, it revived. Is that the word? And I started actually again with my fine art nudes in nature. So that friend from when she was 16, she visited me, and I like to put her into nature and do those fine art nudes in nature. That's where I started. And discovering Bonaire with a camera. I didn't have one. Actually, my boyfriend back then had a camera, so I could use it. And I photographed everything I saw because everything was new and fascinating. And just slowly, because I had this camera, I started photographing everything, street life, and I don't know. So that's how it started. And then I found finally work as an architect on the island. And that lasted 5 years. I was doing what I loved. That's the architectural concept. I love creating from nothing to create something. And after 5 years, I wasn't challenged anymore. And this was back then a 13,000 inhabitant island. We're now 20,000. And there are no architect offices or something. So that was a bouwbureau, how do you say, a construction office where I was working as an architect. And I had no challenges anymore. I couldn't really grow in no aspect. And I said, you know what, I just try for myself. And I'm a foreigner here, so I had to do a whole company approach. I could not just work for myself. And this is a long about me, right? We have to.
Wow, it's amazing. Yes, because you know that for some reasons, the majority of photographers I know came from a very different path along the ways. Very little I've been doing photography for 30 years. Probably it's just Sue Bryce that I know that it's something like this. Yeah. She's been a photographer for her entire life. Yeah. I came from a corporate background as well. I am one of those, like, I was a child, the girl with the camera. So it was like something in the back of my mind for years, being a photographer, being a solopreneur or whatever. But I think it took me 20 years to arrive there. So I think that somehow it's something that calls you over time. And from time to time, photography called me back. I said, yes, wait another little bit. So, and it comes a time when you need to decide and say, okay, I'm going to do this right now, or doing something else. Probably is the same. Maybe it happened to you the same, something similar, being bored in a kind of job you realize always the same, and photography called you back.
I was never bored with architecture. I am still not bored with architecture. It was more like this coming and going. I had in a way with architecture because architecture is extremely challenging. So at some points I was like, I'm done with this, you know. But when back to the point when I decided to work for myself, I had to make this whole company and a business plan. And then I was, okay, what am I going to put in the business plan? Because it costs a lot of money. And the more you have in, the more you can do. So I was putting in my architecture, urban planning, even a model agency, real estate, jewelry design, photography. And like I told you at that point, I was having it as a hobby and discovering the island. And then I was by then invited for children's birthdays, you know, this, bring your camera, you know, the girl with the camera, me, it was me too. Because the part where I used photography more for architecture, that was during my studies. And then it actually slowly grew. It actually happened that more and more people asked me. And then I was, oh, but now I have a company and now I have to charge you. And well, I did the normal kind of thing a lot of people did when you're not a professional photographer from the start, meaning professional in the sense of being paid and making a living from it. So I'm a girl with a camera. I grew the same path like I think everyone else, just having this technical engineer background. And so I was like, but now I have to charge. And I also did charge the $150 for a whole wedding. But it wasn't just shoot and burn. It was shoot, retouch yourself to death and burn.
And burn out.
And burn out. Yes. And then also I realized I was looking on YouTube videos for education, and I found a little bit here and a little bit there, but there was no comprehensive education. And on a small island, I don't know how it is on a small village, but a small island is really a specific thing, and people don't really share their knowledge because there's fear of concurrence. So I couldn't learn. But I wanted to learn, and because I realized I want to be on a level where I can serve better. And so I found education back then in 2012, 13. It was not what it is nowadays. Nowadays, everybody's teaching. But back then it was hard. And I found Creative Life. And there I found, I think 2013, Sue Bryce, Susan Stripling. A client got me into weddings. I was like, I don't want to do weddings, but I want you. I don't want the weddings. I want you. It's like, okay. So I went through the whole Susan Stripling mentorship thing, and I learned a lot. Amazing, amazing teachings. And yeah, and Sue Bryce was very resonating with me because I had a personal experience here. I had actually a break in my house with 3 men around my bedroom at night, and long story that led me to a personal growth course in Aruba. And there it was a very confronting, intense experience, and we had to find our opposite partner. And I was back then still very into, you know, a city girl, a little bit, architecture, high heels, love high heels. So I was very into my femininity, and my opposite partner was a very funny woman. But, you know, she was kind of neglecting her femininity. So she became somehow my opposite partner. And we had to do certain exercises. And then I realized I saw all her beauty, seriously. And I was like, she is so beautiful. Come on, girl, dance, you know? And then it became kind of, that was when I came to this island. I was 2 years here. So 13 years ago, I was like, I want to show women how beautiful they are, but I had no idea how to do that 13 years ago. And then I found Sue Bryce. I was like, exactly the way she does it. You know, I was like, that's the way. And so things slowly fall into place. It grows. It's not that photography. Yeah, there were these things of femininity showing women, and I was myself still really insecure. I think I learned tremendously, especially in the last years. So it's all a path. And when you start talking, you're not going to be done with me in 1 hour. But yeah, to fast forward somehow, I focus a lot on surprise education. It resonated with me as a woman. And then you learn your skills and everything. And I forgot your question actually, but so.
It was just introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, I think we jumped
still
already
there
into the conversation. So just to finish the introduction part, photographer, architect on Bonaire in the Caribbean. I came here 2012, emigrated, and I have my citizenship since, I don't know what, since 10 years or so, or yeah, something like that.
People should know, people that's watching us or that been watching us later, because this is going to be saved in my IGTV. It's that I asked you for this interview because we met, it was already 4 years ago and a half. It was 2017. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In
Phoenix,
Palm Springs.
No, that was the first one.
Yes, in the Indian Wells. So we met in California in person the first time, and then the year after that, 2018, we were in Palm Springs, and I don't know, we got along right away, and since then I saw that you grew up as a photographer, of course, but there was something that I noticed in this last year and a half. I noticed something like a big shift in energy and the way you were doing your business. And I said, something has happened to Felicia, and I always wanted to ask you what it was, if I was right. Especially last year, last year was maybe 1 year and a half, when you took on maternity photography. I think that something happened to you, and I think it has to do with energies and the thing we do in business. So I want to ask you if I'm right, and if you want to tell us about it, especially thinking about all the photographer or amateurs that are watching us. What's your big takeaways from this switch you did, if you did
it? Yeah, you call it a switch, and I think maybe it looks like a switch, but for me, it's more, again, the step-by-step journey with breakthroughs or milestones. And first of all, I think my first maternity shoot, my first maternity shoot was already in 2012 or 13. That was when I told you I started working for myself, and I don't even know how. It was an intuition or something. And I asked a lady, I knew she's very pretty, or but then she was pregnant. That was what I wanted to say. Very pretty woman.
She was even prettier.
Oh, she was. If she would want to do a maternity shoot, that was 2012 or 13, and I had no idea what I was doing. I took her into the Washington Park, that's our national park, a pregnant woman on a dirt road, you know, like afterwards, like years later, you know, I was like, what did I do? You know, that was not it wasn't safe all the way, you know. But anyways, so maternity was already there all the time. And I did it occasionally, but I had no studio. So that's why I'm saying it was a step-by-step thing. So for me, one big development was when we finally found our home here, and I have a little apartment on the side, and I have my studio. I could perfectionize workflows and stuff, but that's already now the last 2015, I think we came here. So that was, I'm jumping again. That was a practical help to get on another level. But back then I was outside shooting, you know, we do what we have. I had a reflector, I had a speedlight, which I bought a speedlight. I had it 1 year in the cupboard because I didn't know how to use it. And then I put it on and it somehow flashed, but I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, and I did maternity, but then when I found Surprise, I really focused a lot on learning the craft, and that was everything. Like from you know it, it's from doing your administration, learning manual settings. It's so much. It's like a study basically, and it takes time, so it doesn't happen overnight. At least not for me. And I'm a very intuitive learner. I actually best need to see it. I do not read manuals. It drives me nuts. It's an engineer here. So some things really forever. Like my first iPad was in the drawer for 3 months because like, what am I going to do with it? My phone also. But so I need time, and I have these blockades. I call it like then whoop, the wall goes down, and I'm like a junkie.
Yes.
And so that is personality issues I had to work through the years. So it's breakthroughs, shift, but through steps. So working yourself through the basics, learning the craft to a certain level that you're not freaking out in front of every photo shoot. So it's technical part, it's craft part, it's optimizing processes. It's a lot. And yeah, back to our mentor. I mean, she provides the full package. So I was absorbing also. And everything is time intensive. If you're alone, so you're working during the day, then I still have my architecture also on the side. And at night in bed, I watch videos. And you have those moments when you're completely stuck. And I couldn't get any further there. And then sometimes you have to go back. And it's like 1 step forward, 2 back, 2 steps forward, 5 back. It's this thing. And if you're talking about a switch at some point, or how can I put it? This energy thing you're referring to, right? I mean, that is something, I think, let's put it like that. You could be very high performing in a lot of aspects, technically, everything. But if this energy approach is, let's say, out of balance, maybe, I'm not sure if you can be on a level that you, let's say, that you shine in a way, and that it becomes a certain form of effortlessness. Because I was working hard and I was doubting myself a lot. And also along all these practical steps, you do the personal growth, the self-growth. And I remember I was, I think, 19 or 20. And before that, I knew I was always searching for something and I didn't know what it was. And around 1920, I met a woman, and she did a lot of work, family work, where you clean up things. And I think there I did my first trance work, was 19, and autogenous training, I don't know how to say it in English. But I was always very afraid for everything. And I was also very afraid to learn about myself. I thought something deep down inside is going to be really bad and ugly about myself. So I was always afraid, but also something drove me to learn, to grow, to know, to understand, I didn't even know what I was looking for. And I think now I know it's like you're looking just for the light and And this is also a path. I'm talking about when I was 20 and I become 50 this year. So it's been 30 years. And in between, I mean, architecture gave me a very high understanding of how to learn. And so it's this personal story. My story is different than yours. Everybody has their individual. And one thing I had to learn, you cannot compare. So when I was stuck and I was looking always to those who made it in my eyes, I got frustrated sometimes, and I have to step back, and then you need to come back, and it all takes time. You just like go with the flow and take those little steps one at a time. Maybe now it's learning Flash, tomorrow it's thinking about how do I have my self-talk going on. And that was things like I told you, like actually from, let's say, 20 years on, studying, learning, asking questions about life and those things, and searching for something I didn't know what it was, is a thing of 30 years. And what you say, the shift in the last, let's say, maybe 2 years. Last year was for me a big one also. Yes. Yeah, last year was for me a big year, because things started to flow. And 2016 was actually a little shift, because I had signed up for a local market, and these are those little milestones, and they're different for everyone. And when I went on this local market, I was like, oh man, I have to have my pricing straight now, because before I was doing my pricing depending on how I felt. I felt good. I was expensive. I felt shitty. My pricing was low. So I'm going out into the public, and again we have a small community. That was a shift, a milestone. And then I had an intern there, and she helped me tremendously, and there was a lot of going on there because she could do videos for me and marketing material. So it's a growing process. And then 2017, when we met, I went with 2 Bonarian colleagues, Karenza and Bettina. We went together to the Portrait Masters.
Hello, girls.
Yeah, Bettina's now in, and she's rocking it in Amsterdam. So
I know.
Yeah. And
she's amazing as well.
Oh my God. Yeah, I have my wedding shots through her, but she's not doing weddings anymore, so no one please approach her for that. But she shot the pregnancy of my sister-in-law, and that is something I'll never forget. And that's also something as photographers, once you pay another photographer for their service, you really start valuing it. And that was not even for myself. And it was such an amazing experience. And yeah, but again, I'm jumping. So yes, this urge of searching for something and developing myself was along my way, and it wasn't always present, not at all. Sometimes there were years where you just work like a horse and you get lost. And yeah, also again, our mentor Sue, she brought back a lot of things I actually knew from that lady I met when I was 20, but it was like, oh, I know it, why did I forget? And there's a lot of things we hear, you know, like be nice to yourself, treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. And how much of that do we actually do? So we hear a lot if we are open for it, and on a daily basis sometimes it's completely gone. And then next to Sue, you know, I'm on YouTube, and I always look into things. I mean, I would say probably spiritual. I don't know how you, it's a mix. It's a mix of down to earth, but being open for more. And then I found other, how do you call them, teachers. Like if I may mention, Abraham Hicks, for example, was really of my support last year, because when Corona hit, the whole world was crazy. And I have to point out, we were blessed here on the island, because when everybody was in complete panic, we didn't have one case. So we shut down immediately. We were literally safe. We didn't have the virus. So I had this buffer of comfort and safety while the rest of the world was literally falling apart.
Hello. I live in Milan.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a big mouth talking easy, you know, but still it has an effect. It has an effect because there were people terrified here, even though there was no rational reason. So that I have still my rational and my emotion. And then I said, okay, no, this has to be approached, or I want to approach this in a different way. So I massively listened to people like Abraham Hicks, and it's all about this awareness. It started, yes. And I'm talking about me. There are a lot of people out there, they may think completely different, but for me it was about awareness. First of all, realizing what's going on, and that goes with me over the physical body. So if I feel anxiety, I feel it in my solar plexus. Some feel it in their neck, shoulders, wherever you feel it physically. And then I feel that I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then maybe I reflect back and I'm self-conscious, and oof, I had a fierce thought like, okay, COVID is going to kill us all, for example, right? And then, you know, to go back to the present moment, like, okay, right now, I'm healthy, I'm breathing, I'm here. Or maybe even if you're sick, you're still breathing, and you have your mind and your heart, and you can shift at any moment in time. And that's easy to say when you're relatively safe, because this anxiety or fear that can take over, either it's physical for your health, or for maybe a partnership, or for your work, or for whatever aspect of your life. When you're in the terrified moment, it's hard to get out. But this was always kind of something I was looking for answers and looking for growth, and a lot I've heard, like I said before. And then it's practice. So when I retouch, I listen a lot, in this case to Abraham Hicks, but there's others out there like coaches and motivational speakers. And for me, it's all the same. It's just different voices, different experiences, but the nucleus for me is kind of the same. And this is for me, this, okay, we're soul beings in a physical body. There's more than just, you know, what we can see or smell, yes, and hear and touch.
But so, if you think that your photography, this whole concept about spiritual awareness gets into your photography, your way to photograph maternities or portraiture, do you think it's something that relates to the way you work with your clients, or it's just a work you do yourself for yourself to be better with your clients? This is very interesting.
I think, yeah, that's very interesting. Does influence my work, because a very big part of my work is exactly this connecting to my client is important for me. For me, it's important to tune into my client. That's why everything becomes a project. You know, when I have someone, oh, I'm leaving in 2 days, can we have a shoot tomorrow? It's like, oh, first of all, I need my preparation. My architectural brain works like that. And yes, secondly, I mean, you can tune into someone in an instant. I met a lot of people. I see them at the gate. It's like, oh, there you are. Where have you been my whole life, you know? But still, for me, it's a focus thing. In order to focus, I need to have the motivation for it. If I don't feel like it, I'm not doing it anymore. You know, in the past, I would dragging myself or beating myself through stuff I don't want to do. I'm right now at the point that I most of the time do what I really want to do, and sometimes I just sit it out. I don't feel like having a sale. I'm not doing it because it won't work. And if I have a sale in 2 days down the road, nothing is going to run away. So I trust more in the moment, and the way I do my mind hygiene and emotional hygiene, maybe you may call it, that reflects into my work. And connecting to a client, for me, the most important is that they really feel comfortable with me. If not, I know I don't even need to think about it. If there is whatever kind of disturbance in between, the shoot won't happen. I can relax about it. Meanwhile, even at a point, it's so funny. If I really don't want to do a shoot, I'm just like, oh no, it's just not resonating with me. It goes away. I'm still answering professionally, giving answers, sending my prices out, and then I know it goes away. Always,
Yes.
like always.
Yes.
Now I'm talking the last 2 years, right? What you also referred to.
Yes.
And this tuning into my client, I do that really. I prepare the shoot and the half a day at least. Sometimes if it's a big shoot, a day before, I tune myself into practically, I choose a backdrop, I choose a light, I choose the outfits, or she chose it. And the night before, I always do some sketches for myself, like for like a workflow. Because when I'm into something, as you see, I'm going so deep into it, and then I forget what I all wanted to do. So I need visual reminders all over the place. I put them on my wall. But it's an energetical tuning, and I don't even know how to explain it. By focusing on something really and not being distracted, you focus and tune into their energy. Sounds weird.
Yes.
But that's how it works for me.
Yeah, it sounds, to me, it's something similar. Actually, I don't need the visual reminders, because when I'm focused, I've been like this for all my life. I know exactly in my mind what comes next. It's very interesting what you're saying, especially maybe for photographers that are not maybe pricing themselves well enough. Do you think that this shift, this way of thinking about the shooting, so being very deep into it, helps you pricing better, or pricing higher, or pricing the right amount? Does it help your practical business as well, other than the creative part?
I'm not sure about that. Maybe I will reverse what I'm saying now along the process. But I think this energy work, what I said now, tuning into the client and focusing so much on them, I know that the way I do it is invaluable on a certain level, because you cannot price love, attention, and money, love, attention, and focus, and genuinely caring for that person to feel just completely well, holding the safe place, and not even mentioning the memories we do create. And I'm getting goosebumps. What a shoot also does, they remember the feeling they had with you. And I have clients that when they don't feel good, they look at their pictures and they get that feeling back of self-love. So it's in a way, you cannot put a price tag on that, but I don't know if I'm aware of that while I'm going through my pricing process, because pricing has to do with your own self-love. So it's now talking to you about it, actually it's priceless. But during my pricing process, I wasn't that aware of it. I mean, yes, you read it everywhere when you look into photography education, like we create priceless memories, but it's just an empty sentence as long as you don't feel it. So I think what helped me a lot was this experience paying another photographer what people pay me, to understand. I paid what I could, I mean, it was a higher price range thing. And if I say I could have not paid 10,000 or something, but it was already decently high, well priced. And if, how can I say, if you want something, like from the client point of view, you'll make it happen. I wanted it. And she said, yeah, you can pay in parts and stuff. And I was so focused on it because I so wanted it. It was so valuable. It's the only child in the family. It happened, like, oh, and I got money here and I got money there. And all of a sudden I could pay even more than I wanted originally. So that's from the client side. But as a photographer side, if we go into pricing, the process, there's more to how you perform the shoot. You can give all your love and attention to a client, and still, if you do not have the self-value and if you don't feel your self-value, you may still not price yourself high enough. Does that make sense?
Yes. My question was like something provocative in some
then
ways.
I didn't get it.
Yes, because I wanted to see what was your answer about it. And you said this word, it's invaluable, so I think that when you feel you are valuable, you can price yourself, and it's the real deal in getting better as a business owner as well. Guys, if you have questions, in the meanwhile, I see that I have Sarah Vision 2020, but I'm also like that. I can't enough price my work and energy for it. So yes, Sarah, I think that Felicia really answered your question. I agree with her. If you're a photographer and you need to price yourself, you need to price yourself accordingly to the value you give to yourself and to your work. And it's a tough work to do. It's a tough job to think about that, but you need absolutely to get into it. Otherwise, it's not going to be profitable for long run. Back again.
Wait. So I went into my studio. I'm a little bit closer to the internet, but the nice light is gone.
No problems.
My dog is barking and the airco is not on.
No problems.
But we're just gonna improvise.
Know where you lost me, but I was talking with this girl, Sarah, Vision 2020. She was saying something that she agrees with the thing about pricing. And this word you said, it's the work you do with your clients, answering to my provocation, that's invaluable. So this is the very important thing to me, working with clients. And honestly, I learned everything about pricing and being with the client in terms of service, equal exchange of energies and money from Subrise.
Yeah, class.
She's absolutely, that she was like our mentors in this thing. And I absolutely suggest everyone to get to know her work and what she and her educational work. But talking about Subrise, I want to ask you about awards because everyone here should know that this girl here, she like won everything she could, and the last
for me right now you're right, but it's not everything one can win, but I can win. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, Felicia, what brought you in this like winning flow of in awards? Because you can participate in an award and accreditation program just to get accredited. I think you did something to win something or to get better at your work, to get there somehow and some time. This moment came last year because you won it wasn't the Grand Prix, you won the first prize, first place for maternity photography. So you got your crystal. Do you have your crystal there?
No, it's in the States because COVID was going on. I don't even have my master medal yet.
Getting back to my question, I think you work towards preparing work not only for participating to the accreditation, but to win awards. And do you think there's something you can suggest to people that want to participate to some awards or accreditation programs? Something you can suggest to get the better out of their participation? Is there a secret to win an award, or how does it work?
First of all, I mean, when you asked me a question, I talk for an hour. No, first of all, when I started,
I'm showing you your works in the meanwhile. Okay.
Yeah, I feel free. When I started submitting my first attention in 2000. Oh, when was the first portrait? 17.
17.
No, that was really simply purely to see, am I any good? Because 2017, I was also big in self-doubt and everything. And I was there that I had my pricing put on a professional level, Subrise style, international pricing. But I was like I said before, if I felt good, I felt it was good. And if I felt bad, I thought like, who am I to charge those prices? So it was in first place having the judges who are experienced over decades look at my work and tell me, is it professional level? And yes, it was. So that gave me confidence. So that was the most important thing. Still is that you have someone, judges, not one. Like how many are there? 5 or I don't know how many, 6.
I think there are
11
more,
in total. Yeah,
10. Yes, at least 10. I think. Yes.
Like have them really judge your work. It's anonymous, so it's not like, oh, it's her, she gets an extra point or something. So that was the beginning. And then I think I submitted 4 images. I got 4 bronzes. I was like, oh, okay, great. And then I felt more comfortable for my pricing. So it was really just a self-check. And then I thought, okay, next accreditation. Oh, it was kind of fun. Why not? So do it again, because I submitted different images. And So I was like, okay, am I good in this genre? Okay, got Bronx again. And then it started becoming like just fun. And then I thought like, oh, I would love the accreditation because yeah, it gives you a paper. It gives you the official, how can I say, like a diploma, which
Yes.
yeah, which
Yes.
is like, okay, yes, I am a professional photographer. Because I mean, for architecture, I have my diploma. For photography, I don't. So who am I to say, you know, I can do it? And okay, my work maybe, but I had clients in the beginning that were reflecting my insecurity, because that's what you get, you know, like, oh, you pay 10
Yes.
times, you charge 10 times more than the other photographers on the island. And why is that? And if you don't feel it, feeling it is the most important, because you can say a lot, but if you're not behind it,
Yes.
inside out, you can say whatever you want. You have to feel your value and
Yes.
what you, not, yeah, your value, self-love, and what you create. You have to feel the value for it. And so I kept submitting, and it was becoming fun. And then I said, okay, I want the accreditation. So that's what I went for. I had a goal. And it took me, now I have the master's. So it took me from 2017 till 2020, 3 years. So it's also, for me, it wasn't overnight. You have geniuses there.
Yeah.
They may do it in a year or so, or 2, or whatever, fast. Also, it's a money aspect. You pay per each entry. So I had to really budget for it. And well, you know, if you see my studio, I have light stands that break apart almost, you know. I photograph on bed sheets. No, but I put this is a bed sheet, you know. So it's funny that I'm actually now ending up in my studio, so I can show you where I shoot, how I shoot. It's not fancy at all whatsoever, you know. But I had my priorities. So yes, I worked for the accreditation. I got it. And I think on the way for the accredited, I got already some silvers on the way. And the funny thing with me is, like, I don't know what it is. It was also with architecture, always like, once a building is standing, it's like, okay, you know, it's like, I kind of, it's wrong if I say I don't value it, but it's like, okay, mission accomplished. What's next?
Yes. What's
like,
next?
Yeah, well, big
yes.
deal.
Yes.
You know, like, and then if you look at the numbers, how many silvers are there? Silvers are already kind of special. Golds are out of, it's still like, I want a gold. Yeah, of course I want a gold, but
we're gonna go for the gold.
I don't know what I have to do. Maybe I have to photograph upside down, making a handstand or something. No, but the golds are really, if you see a gold, it's like, wow, you know, yeah, there's so much into it. But coming back to the silvers, I was like, okay, I got a silver. What's next? Exactly, that's actually the point. And then I got the accreditation to the associate. And I was like, yay! And then Bonaire was on the world map, and that helped tremendously for me to locally present myself. So it was local acknowledgement also. And out of a sudden, people were like, oh yeah, and I was on local television, I think twice. And I teach here on local schools already for 4 years or 5 years or even longer, basic photography. And then I was on television for that. So and then you learn to speak publicly a little bit, you know. So it's a process on so many levels in your personality. And when I had the associate, I was like, yeah, now I want the master, right? It's the next. And then I remember actually Sue Bryce had a self-challenge video we had to make. I don't know if you made it, if you remember it. And I made it here in my studio. Yeah, and I was really doing it. I was filming half an hour, and I said in that video, I want to achieve the master. I want to win. I said I want to dominate and win the maternity category. And I was shaking when I was saying it out loud, because the moment you say it, you're vulnerable, right?
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, you know, I want it. My heart wants it. But by speaking it out loud, it was, I don't know, I cannot explain it. I don't know if you know what I mean. If you speak it out loud.
A promise to yourself.
It was like,
it became real in somehow.
It's a first step to becoming real, but it's also scary. If you say something and then you don't reach it, I know what it is. The fear of failure for me. And that's one of my biggest fears, which I figured out in along my way. Well, but somehow magically it happened. I wasn't, that's kind of also maybe something I say. When I shoot for my clients, I shoot for my clients. I do have in the back of my head, maybe from the shoot, I can submit an image or maybe two for competition. Also, what happens now, it's like almost there's like a pressure on me. Like my clients, they come to me like, oh, I want a maternity shoot, and we're gonna submit it, right? It's like, okay. You know, the expectations are becoming higher with each shoot. It's kind of funny, but that pushes you to the next level.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, and then long story, yes, somehow magically, and that's the energy thing, I think, also, because I was so in the flow. I was just enjoying the moment. I wasn't too much actually thinking of it. I spoke it out in that video, and my heart wish is there, or was there. I know that. And then when I achieved it, I was freaking out because it was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. But yeah, and now I want the fellow.
They're waiting for you, the fur girls over there in the fellowship. I think
it would be nice to win. It's just fun. It's become fun. And you know, just 2 years ago, when I was like I don't 2 years ago, yeah, like when I started submitting, I was like, I looked at those works, you know, from these people who always win, and not only the portrait masters, but the WPPI and I don't know what, you know, and they're
Yes.
always the same people winning. And it's like I was looking up to them. I was like, wow, how I thought like I never get there. And that's the thing, like stop thinking like that. Just be in the moment, create, focus on your creation, have fun with it, and better yourself and see it as a challenge and start to love the process. And it's just it's like I said, I shoot for my client, and then there's usually a picture or two or sometimes more I can use for competition. So it's my client work. And very sometimes when I have time, I do just work for myself. And that is usually the ones that score higher. Because
Why?
that one for no, that one was just a bronze, but there's another one, the one with the fishtail. Uh, I don't know, because I think there's just more like freeness in it. When I have my clients shoots with this most, I like 90% is client work in there. Was my that one was a high one, and that was just a light test. You know, I was because I see things in life, like for example the fishtail. It's a fish. My husband, it's here in the living room. We painted it white, and I see it every day. And there's items I see every day, and I want to do something with it, but I have no idea. And sometimes this picture took 2 years to create it, and
It's
because
one of my favorites.
oh, I love
When
that
I
one.
saw this, it's like, wow,
So it's
wow.
yeah,
Yes,
so it's a
absolutely.
process, and I think the freer work maybe scores higher because you know of the freedom. So if I create for a client, I focus on my client. Like I said, I produce for the client. And
Yes.
yes, I submit the best image because it's just fun. But this free work is really like if you paint for yourself or you do something for yourself and you're free, there's no expectations, no pressure, no nothing. If it doesn't work out, yeah, it doesn't work out. And it's like playing.
Yes.
It's full freedom, I think.
Yes, I see what you're saying because the last um, year and a half, I personally focused on client works. Um, I I noticed that I left the awards and all the award behind because I was focused on the client works, and I cannot submit to overwork on post-production on client works. There are more like my clients want something more casual than fine art. So my award thing, it's like something I do when I can create for myself and
Hmm.
self only. So I probably see what you're saying, and there's
Yeah, but still,
something.
my client work is having silvers also. So it's like for me, it worked. And again, they expect it now.
Yes, they want it now.
They want that, you
Look
know.
at this. Oh, look at this. I haven't seen this before.
It's hanging in my
Oh
studio. Actually, I printed that one
my
out.
goodness. How amazing. So
And
amazing.
that one was, for
Look at
example,
this.
funny. It's like just follow your flow. The first one was the butterflies. That was actually a picture without the butterflies, and she loved butterflies, and she had them, you know, pinned in glass. How do you say when you have them dead pinned? And she
See.
brought them for the shoot. So I photographed them during her shoot. This image was created 2 years after her shoot because it was a rainy day in paradise. I was bored. I went to my computer. I was like, oh, let me go through old
Oh,
pictures. And
oh.
then I saw those butterflies, and she loved butterflies, and I never did something with it. And then 2 years later, I was just on a rainy day creating this for fun. And yeah, it was a
Amazing.
bronze and she loves it. It's just like, yeah. So sometimes things happen, like I said, 2 years. Now I submitted an image I cannot talk too much about it. I don't want to talk too much about it, but in the current
Yes,
competition,
no, no,
that
do it.
but the ID is already for 2 years or 3 years in my mind. I will tell you one day. And I did it now. So it took 2 years to put an ID into a picture. It's so funny.
Wow, look at this portrait, a family portrait.
Yeah.
Do you do that as well often?
Not often because I have a super small studio, and honestly, I used to say, "Give me a puppy or give me a baby," and I take the puppy. And I love the motherhood
Yes,
because a mother is in control. You know, I do not like to handle babies like by myself, so you will not see me shooting babies alone. And then
yes,
with children, you know, the toddler age till the age of that they sit still in school, it's just really hard in my studio. It's tiny, it's small. Every time I had a child, it's either chocolate pudding over my vintage dresses or always something happens. And when they're older, it's fine, but more than 3 people, 4 people is already really, really hard. It's so small here. And I
yes.
think, really good in focusing on one person. I could do weddings, you know, and have these group pictures and I can entertain a whole crowd. But when I work, I love to work with one person or maybe a couple I don't know what it is. It's like I'm so focused. I actually need to work a little bit maybe on my self-protection kind of thing. And after a shoot, I'm dead for 2 days. So if I have 4 people, it kind of drives me a little bit. It's my energy has to go all over the place. My attention, that's too much.
Yes, yes, I see what you're saying. I mean, I'm similar in this part to you,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so words are a matter of approaching them step by step, you're saying, as well as your whole photography career.
You asked me, like, what does it take to make a winning picture, right?
Yes.
First, I think the wish, you have to want it. And stop the negative talk. I mean, if you say, oh, I want to win, but I will never do it, you will never do it. And then you can start saying, like, maybe change your wording. You know, you cannot say, like, I got to win, if you don't believe in it. It won't work either. But just to have the wish, to be aware of the wish, to say it out loud, maybe to your friend or whatever, and then let it go and just go with the flow and create, and just maybe put it general. Like, I mean, I was very specific. I want to win the maternity category. That narrowed me down to one category out of 8 or 10 or whatever they have now.
Yes.
But if I would have kept it more open, it would have been actually easier for me. Because if you say, I want to win, let's say an award. Let's start easy, yeah? You don't want to maybe win right away the competition. And it's possible because others did it too. So put it general. Get it away from your personal fear of, I cannot do it. And then little and little. And the next I'm really, for me, big fan of step by step by step by step by step by step. Again, you have geniuses out there, fine.
Yes, but I think that I think they're practicing perseverance as well. So it's
but I'm not saying that is not a part. That's also a part, indeed. Just keep going. And if you have a fallback, stand up again. I think this marathon thing, what Sue also says, it's a marathon.
Yes.
Just keep going, and it's a process. It's a journey. We are never there. You know, you win something, and then what's next? You know, so it's a journey. It doesn't matter. You're cheerful for maybe a week, and then, you know, if you don't win, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the end. Actually, it's a moment of enjoying things. I have come, I think, last year really to enjoy. And when you enjoy, you're happy. And if you're happy, things flow and come to you. And not to be too, I was so serious, you know, this architecture is serious, right? And I started having just joy and discovering joy and happiness. That brings you a long way. And if you don't win, yeah, next time. Take it easier, you know?
Yes. And I think this is very beautiful to say, especially during these tough times we are living, you know, that sometimes we are saying just be positive, like being cheer up, it's all that matters. But with all that's going on in the world, maybe sometimes it's not so easy to be like cheering up or everything. So I think it's the real way to make it eventually. So
I mean,
what do you think about it?
I mean,
do you have for instance, do you have a suggestion to give to those photographers? Or because sometimes I have these photographers, maybe I'm mentoring, saying, I don't know, maybe I'm leaving everything because it's too difficult and I don't know if I can make it. And I say, no, just hold it on. So do you have a suggestion for maybe newbies or photographers that are maybe a little bit down, because to get over it? Because every time we go to the next level, I think we are talking advanced stuff somehow.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not easy to understand advanced stuff if you're not properly ready to get it. Mm-hmm. So what's your suggestion for maybe a person that's like, oh, maybe I'm leaving it everything tomorrow, to hold on to their passion? And what's the secret to succeed, if you think you have one?
I mean, I have been there. I have been there crying, like, what am I doing? I go back to architecture, you know, like I have been, it sounds really weird, but I mean, I have, then do you want to talk money? I have been doing years of maybe 20,000 turnover, you know, I have minimum salary of $1,100. It's like, wow, you know, I have not been out in years. I sacrificed a lot because I wanted it. So for some, it's maybe sacrifice is a negative word, actually, but perseverance, I think, is better. So just know what you want. And then also you have to be willing, maybe, or I was willing to pay the price. I didn't buy myself new clothes in ages. Okay, I have my studio wardrobe, you know, but I'm not wearing it. But my girly, I live it out in my studio. But I have been extremely, how can I say, like with my everyday life, I put everything in this because I want this. And yes, I've been super down, like, again, you know, if the money doesn't flow in, then it's like, what am I doing? And you cannot pay your mortgage. And then I was 2-3 times at the point that I said, okay, I get a job. And one time so far that I even wrote it out, you know, like, do you have availability, blah. And that moment, actually, a job came in again, a photography job. So if there is no way you have to pay your bills, then get a side job. What's the point? You know, I was like, oh, then people see me, because it's a small community. They see me working somewhere, so she didn't make it. You know, it's like, get over it. You know, if you need to do a side job, do a side job. Or don't quit your job yet. That's also, you know, what Sue said, like, to just be serious. I mean, it has to work. And then for the rest, just give yourself time. What's the urge? I'm also sometimes asking myself, what's the pressure? What's the urge? As long as I'm breathing, you know, being happy is more important at the point. But if you're really stuck and you cannot move, you can literally not move out of your bed, then you're pretty low already. And sometimes it has to play itself out. Sometimes you cannot. And latest, when you have to pay your bills, you will find some action. So if you're paralyzed, actually the opposite is kind of movement. Sometimes if you can get out of bed, move. Don't even move in your studio, or don't touch your camera, just do sports, do something, get your energy flowing, maybe go for a coffee, for a walk, for whatever. But I have been also in places where you cannot even do that. You're paralyzed in bed for days. Yeah, then it's like that, you know, sit it out, because at some point you either get angry, and that's also a forward energy. Sorry for my dog.
No problem.
That's his working from home thing.
It wants to participate as well. So see, oh, look at him. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to, because it's this song, right? The only way is up. When you're all the way down, it can go only up. And see if you can do something. I read it, you hear it, you know, break it down into steps. What can you do today? Maybe you can get out of bed. Yay. Great.
Yes.
I mean it. What can you do tomorrow? Maybe you can brush your hair, you know, like I had years of pyjama getting up, you know, not getting properly ready, and that drains you, sucks you down and stuff.
Yes.
And once you can, you know, and see if you can find your joy, you know, like if you cannot look at other photographers. I had times where I was out of the groups because it was overwhelming. I saw not beautiful work or other people's successes as an inspiration and motivation. I saw it as a threat. I thought, I'm not as good as they are, so stop comparing yourself. We are all at different stages and different times. We all have our low moments, and only because now I won something doesn't mean tomorrow I'm on the same level. But really, this come back to your energy work. Come back, just do what you can, step by step, break it down, and then go into what you can do. Master your craft step by step. I'm not there, you know, practically improvise, create, focus on service, serve your client, let go of your own thing. It's not about us, truly not. You know, focus on what can you do for someone else. Then you shift your energy and then be happy, serve that person to your best, and joy comes up. So, you know, focus away from you, or focus on the opposite, what's going on right now. And step by step, keep swimming. I love to say that, keep swimming. I love Nemo. And again, it's a journey. We will never be there. And what is being there? For me, being there is being in the moment, enjoying. And if I'm like, you know, something happens, it touches you, you go through the emotion, you embrace even the tears, the loss, whatever, because afterwards, the next thing is coming. So just, it is a flow. So just to finish your question also.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh, so many hearts. Thank you for giving us.
I hope it was of value of someone. At least I enjoyed talking to you, and I hope there were some bits and pieces in there, and it's just my way, and everybody has their own, and that's important, you know, just.
Yes. But I'm doing these interviews because, as I told you, I'm really interested in this energy thing, to be in this thing that Sue calls the soul business. You know, if you're into your business with your soul, there's something in the energies, that all those energies that move you, and they are moving in the world. And maybe sometimes it seems like metaphysical things.
Oh no, it is, yeah.
But it's not. It's really it's unbelievable how much this thing affects your everyday life and your job and everything. So the level of energies you're operating in every day really affects all the things around you. So, and this is something I'm really convinced about, because when I felt low in my life, things were like crap. I mean, and when I allowed myself to say, okay, what it is that I can change. I cannot change the outside of me. I can change the way I operate my energies into me. And like that, it's like putting a spell over something, putting off, thing changes. So
But yeah,
I'm really interested in this for these reasons.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but you say it's not, it is metaphysics in a way, because it is, we have physical, and the other is what we call energy. You can say vibe for some people who are like energy, what are they talking about? It's a vibe. I think everybody knows that feeling of going to a place where there's a bad vibe, or a person who is, you know, uncomfortable. It's like you feel it. And when you're aware of it, you feel things so much more. So, and that is actually metaphysical. And by awareness, and then figuring out what you're thinking, and then seeing, okay, there was negative self-talk, just stopping it. Maybe you cannot say like, I love myself yet, but you can stop saying, I'm a fat cow, you know. And time, it's little steps, you will see the sparkle, and you shift your energy or vibration. And that is metaphysics. It's waves. It's above the physical. And that's how we do create our reality on a daily basis. And yes, bad stuff happens in the world. And then what? I mean, let's say, you know, the worst things happen in the world. And I can sit here and watch it on television, and, oh, it's also bad, you know, but I cannot change that. But what I can change is my energetical level, my vibration. And then within my surrounding, I can maybe sparkle up someone else. It's just this, you know, this light thing in the church, you know, I was Catholically brought up. You have your light on, and you enlighten someone else, or you carry that light for someone else. And the next one, and maybe have a happy day with their child. And so I know you have people in the world, they're big changers of the world or life or whatever, big motivational speakers. I see myself more like, you know, I do it in my microcosmos, no? Mikro, klein. That was German. So if it's like really crazy. Sometimes people, they're like, oh, whatever, they're worrying about, I don't know what, but they cannot control their own thoughts. How am I thinking I can change the world if I cannot control my thoughts? And that's where it starts. Yes. And from there, you are taking care of your emotions, and you're aware. So for me, let's start by myself, and then I can radiate. And how big or far, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, this is this energy work. And there's so much out there in the internet, you know, you start somewhere and you absorb, and also we didn't talk about the Science of Getting Rich book. No, so there's so much stuff out there for free. If you want this, you search for it, and the masters will come in your life. And for me, like you say, it's your own vibration, your own vibe. What do you bring to this world? Happen to be for us photography. Could be anything. Could be just how you communicate to anyone whenever you go out for whatever reason. I'm having fun here with my DHL guys who just brought me my coffee boxes. You know, like I'm just, you know, you carry this light. You treat everyone with love and respect, and so much comes back, and you may change something in someone's life you don't know. By small things.
Yes, small things, and the spiritual awareness that we're talking about at the beginning of this interview.
Yeah, and you start with yourself. You cannot expect your husband to be whatever loving if you're like, he's not loving me. It won't work. You need to focus on yourself and start from there. You change and grow, and then it gets reflected back to you. It doesn't work anywhere else. With money, with whatever. And I'm on my path.
Absolutely. It works on the words as well. And as Sue says, I have this some little tips in mind from Sue, and one is like, you must want this.
you must want this. Oh, that was also, if somebody, like you said, somebody is like, yeah, maybe I give it up. I had that. And if you really don't want it, you will give it up, and it's okay at some point in time. But if you really want it, you must want it. You must want money. You must want an award. You must want whatever, you know, being the best photographer in your area or something. And then do the work, you know, it will on all levels at any point in time. And also what you said was a shift. I mean, you find your mentors, you find your spiritual mentors, you find your technical mentors. I think all the way in the beginning, you mentioned Lola. No, she was, for example, one mentor that I resonated with, because she had for me the simplicity of, that's for me what she's doing is architecture, combining it with maternity. So she was is a great teacher. I just adore her work, for example. So you pick your own things together to make your own cake. And important for me, in your own timing. If it takes 5 years, if it takes 10 years, it took me whatever, 20 years, 30 years, you know, to reach the point, like we said, I have now, and I'm not done.
No, we're just at the beginning.
Exactly, that's how I also feel.
We are winning the world.
Maybe we have to come back 10 more times into this life, you know, so whatever. Enjoy the journey, whatever it is.
Beautiful. So Felicia, I really thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
really invaluable, to use one of your words you just say. So I want to tell everyone that was following us during this hour and 20 minutes. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And this interview is going to be in IGTV. So you can go back and ask questions on the comments or DM us if you have any questions, or if you want mentorings from Felicia in maternity photography or business or whatever. You can also contact me for Italian speakers. So thank you so much, Felicia. I
Thank
appreciate
you so much. It was such a pleasure. We have to do that more often if it's just the two of us.
Yes.
Thank
We
you.
can do something like in a Zoom, like for
Yeah.
a sort of webinar, like a networking webinar for
I mean, whoever
with more
wants to join
photographers.
can join, of course.
Yes,
That's not the
absolutely.
question. Federica, thank you so much. I cannot
Thank
wait
you.
to keep following your work and your mystical
too.
things.
Yes.
I love it.
And me.
Thank you. Please excuse these disturbances, but my husband is saving the island, so so funny. Much love.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye, girl. I think you have to stop this. I have no idea.
Yes,
Follow
I
your lead.
stop it. Ciao.